Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I'm really excited you're here because we are about to unpack a dynamic in human behavior that honestly gets misunderstood all the time. We're looking at the scarcity of self, protecting your perceived value. So we're diving right into a pretty uncomfortable reality today. Why is it that endless generosity so often leaves us feeling completely undervalued? If you're the kind of person who constantly bends over backwards for others, only to end up feeling invisible, well, this explainer is going to be a massive breakthrough for you.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the more you do for some people, the less they actually appreciate you? Really think about it. It's like the more available you become, the more they just take your absolute presence for granted. It's painful, it's frustrating, and honestly, it's an incredibly common lived experience. You've probably caught yourself wondering, am I doing something wrong? Am I just not giving enough? But listen to me, if you've been feeling this way, you are absolutely not imagining things. There is actually a deeply ingrained psychological reason behind this whole phenomenon. Which brings us to section one, the endless availability trap.
So, at the core of this issue is a massive, massive imbalance. Picture the immense amount of effort you're constantly pouring into a relationship. Say 95% of the total effort. Now, contrast that giant piece of the pie with the tiny, almost non existent 5% of actual appreciation you get back. It's wild, right? We fall into this really dangerous trap, and it happens to exceptionally good people. They get stuck here because they operate under this assumption that being available 24/7 naturally makes them kinder or more valuable or more important to the people in their lives. But psychologically, pouring all that constant effort in actually does the exact opposite. It literally makes your immense effort invisible.
Let's break down the specific behaviors that keep us stuck in this endless effort zone. We're talking about replying instantly to every message, helping out whenever you're asked, literally dropping whatever you're doing, constantly sacrificing your own precious time, and of course, the classic, always, always saying yes. I mean, you probably recognize yourself in at least a few of these, right? You think you're building up goodwill and capital in your relationships, but over time, there's this subtle shift. People just start expecting those sacrifices instead of actually appreciating them. Your extraordinary effort, it just becomes their new baseline.
So we have this stark contrast between what we think is happening and what's actually playing out. The myth we tell ourselves is that giving more automatically creates more appreciation. But the reality is totally different. Endless availability creates invisibility. Why does this happen? Well, it's because when something becomes highly predictable, the human brain slowly just stops noticing its value. It's kind of like hanging a stunning new painting in your living room. For the first week, you stare at it. But after a month, you walk right past it. You don't even see it anymore. The exact same thing happens with your endless generosity. And that leads us to a pretty harsh reality. Expectations quietly replace gratitude. Let that sink in for a second. This is the exact insidious moment when genuine appreciation completely fades out and an expected routine takes over. Once your constant availability becomes the expectation, it's no longer seen as a gift. It morphs into an obligation in the eyes of everyone else. Your profound, beautiful effort literally vanishes into thin air. Let's move on to section two, the psychology of scarcity. So, what is the crucial concept we need to grasp here? It's the scarcity principle. This is the psychological reality that human beings naturally value what feels limited and rare, while completely ignoring what feels constantly available. And I really want to emphasize this right now. This is not personal, okay? It's not a targeted attack on you by your friends or your coworkers. It is just a universal, totally unavoidable quirk of the human brain. Value and scarcity are permanently linked together.
Let's look at how this builds into an undeniable step by step formula. Step one, absence forces awareness. I mean, you only really notice how much of a luxury the air conditioning is when it suddenly breaks in the middle of summer, right? That moves us to step two. Awareness reveals value. Once you actually notice it's gone, you realize how heavily you relied on it. Which leads perfectly into step three. Scarcity creates appreciation. This little chain reaction is exactly why people often only miss someone after they're gone. It is a mechanical, step by step reality of how our brains process value. Honestly, this makes sense of so many incredibly confusing situations we all deal with. Have you ever noticed how some friendships inexplicably get stronger after a bit of distance? Or how people suddenly text you the minute you stop being the one to text them first? Or even how big opportunities miraculously seem to appear the exact moment you stop desperately chasing them? It's wild, but it proves the formula perfectly. Scarcity forces attention, and attention forces appreciation. All right, section three, boundaries reveal true value.
It's time to take a hard look in the mirror and contrast two core motives behind our actions. Are you overgiving because of a fear of rejection? Like, are you trying to earn appreciation by constantly being there for everyone else? Or are you operating from a place of confidence where you bring genuine value while relentlessly protecting your own time and energy? It is a massive difference. One comes entirely from fear, and the other is built on deep seated confidence. We have to get really honest with ourselves about which of these mindsets is running the show. Here's the major mental shift we need to make today. Respect naturally increases when boundaries become stronger. Why? Because boundaries communicate self-worth, and your self-worth directly dictates how other people treat you. Setting limits is absolutely not about being cold. It's not about being distant or mean. It is simply about signaling to the world that your time, your energy, and your presence are highly valuable commodities. And that brings us to section 4, valuing your own time. So if you want to change this dynamic starting today, you have to stop doing 3 specific things. First, stop over-explaining yourself every time you say no. No is a complete sentence. Second, stop overgiving to people who literally give you nothing in return. And third, stop over-chasing relationships and opportunities that just take you for granted. You've got to start respecting your own time. Because the very second you start respecting your time, that is the exact moment everyone else will start respecting it too.
I want you to really absorb this core lesson. Your value doesn't come from unlimited access, it comes from the quality of what you bring. Think about that. Being valuable is not about being available every single second of the day. The goal here isn't to vanish completely and become a ghost. The goal is to just stop making yourself so infinitely available that people completely forget your worth.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question to chew on. Will you start valuing yourself before expecting the world to do it for you? Look, I know this uncomfortable truth might challenge how you've operated for years, maybe even your whole life. But uncomfortable truths are exactly what create the biggest breakthroughs. If this reality opened your eyes today, please do not ignore it. Use it. Redraw those boundaries, protect your perceived value, and just watch how the world's appreciation of you completely transforms. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.